Welcome to the Mousecast podcast. It's yet another Tuesday night, but tonight you determine our topics as you join us for open mic. This is where the mind meets the magic. We dive a little deeper every time. Theme parks, cruise ships, and travel. If you don't listen, maybe now it's time. Tonight on the show, we open up the door. Start with some news and chat, and viewers get the floor. So join us now for an amazing show as we begin to see what you can do for an open mic night of fun.
Hello and welcome to Mousecast, the podcast where the mind meets the magic. Apparently we have a special guest tonight. Donald Duck is with us here. Happy birthday, Donald.
Happy
it's
birthday
just Hawk.
to Donald Duck.
Happy birthday, Donald.
He is as old as Chuck and I, and that is 92. And that's
On a good day.
combined.
Yeah, on a good day. On a good day. Maybe that's Hawk and I put together. But no.
And Chuck the rest.
Yeah, that's right. So happy birthday to Donald. All right, your quick trivia question. What is Donald's middle name? Oh.
I feel like I should know that.
Hey, guess what? You didn't know it was game night all of a sudden, did you? Donald's middle name. So folks in the chat, hey, Chris here, welcome.
Chris, what's Donald Duck's middle name?
What's Donald Duck's middle name? We'll leave it up to the chat. Do you guys know Donald Duck's middle name? He's 92 years old today. Happy birthday, Donald. But do you know his middle name? So we'll keep that up as an open question for you guys. And speaking of open, it's open mic night. So that's right, not just you, but you get to choose the topics for tonight. So while you guys are thinking about what you want to talk about, not this or this or you know, it's you.
Move the show over to the other screen so I can look straight ahead.
There you go. So take a look. In the meantime, let's take a look though at our poll question of the week from last week. And to be honest, guys, I was kind of surprised about this. So we asked last week. We talked about proposed changes to the Carousel of Progress, and we had Tom Brewer who was on there. And by the way, there is your answer. Donald's middle name is Fauntleroy. Yes, of course. Donald Fauntleroy Duck. So thank you so much for that. So we did ask that we were talking all of last week about the Carousel of Progress. And of course, if you weren't caught up, go check out last week's show, episode 127, where we walk through all of the changes. And there are a lot of changes coming to the Carousel of Progress. And again, huge thanks to Tom Brewer, who was a guest with us last week to talk about Hawk's favorite attraction, the Carousel of Progress. And we asked the question that says, well, what do you think? How are you really interested in this, or do you think this is a good idea, not such a good idea? And very surprisingly, no one responding to the poll said that it was either not a good idea or just was flat out blasphemy. In fact, Tom's with us today. Tom, welcome back. Thank you very much for being with us.
Well, I didn't answer, but had I voted, it would have been blasphemy. No, I'm just kidding.
What would you have voted?
No, I would have voted I'll wait and see, and it's time for a change. Those are about the same for me, to be honest. Like, Disney has overpromised and underdelivered on a lot in the last few years. So to my opinion, like, everything coming out now is I'll wait and see. And I haven't been... It's weird, too, because, Chuck, I'm curious how the rest of the cast feels about this, too, because, over the last few years, there was a time where every new attraction that opened, everything that popped up and became the new thing to go check out, Tegan and I rushed to make sure we had a trip as soon as possible. We'd try to get there, try to experience it, be one of the first people, not necessarily like the day or week of, but very quickly thereafter, we would want to get and check it out. I live an hour away. We still have not done Buzz Lightyear. We still have not done Big Thunder Mountain. We have not done Rock and Roller Coaster. And to be honest, I have no feeling of priority to go do any of them. Like, there's been a shift in just the urge to feel like you've got to go get it done. And I think part of that honestly becomes they're doing so much in the parks right now. Like, I just don't want to have to feel like I have to rush 64 times over the next 2 years to get to Disney World. And I don't know if it's just that the outcomes have been underwhelming, or if it's just the priority isn't there. But how do you guys feel? Like, do you feel like there's been a shift in your want to come see or experience the new things at Disney World? Has that mellowed out because you've been kind of underwhelmed over the last few?
I don't think mine has to do with the underwhelming part. I think it's more like you said, the volume. It used to be like, oh, Galaxy's Edge is opening. It's the one thing that's happening. I've got to go and do this new thing. There's one thing. Whereas now it's like, oh, there are like 4 new things that I'm going to get to see this time. I was there just last year, but like they've rolled. So it just becomes it's almost an expectation that there'll be something new the next time I go, but my trips are not all about, ooh, I've got to go see X, Y, because you just can't keep, I'd be down there all the time. I don't have money for that. I don't know about, how.
Yeah, Matt, what do you think?
Feel.
Yeah, I mean, for most of the stuff that they fix isn't something I'm interested in anyway. So just from, like, you're going to catch me on Rock and Roller Coaster, Galaxy's Edge, I'm not really a Star Wars person. I mean, Smuggler's Run is really fun, but...
Come on, they just did the animation courtyard, Matt.
Yeah.
You should be thrilled about that. There's no ride. You just get to walk around and check out the wizard hat.
Between a 6 and a 3-year-old that have minds of their own and want to do different things, we just kind of let them, like, okay, what are we going to do? At this point, the trips are different, more or less, not because of, like, the attractions. I mean, for us, it's the kids play a part in it. Like, what are they going to be interested in? What's going to keep, like, their attention? I mean, animation courtyard, yeah, that's right up my alley. But they might be like, all right, this is kind of boring. This is not really for us. I want to go ride, Mickey Railway, go to Frozen Sing-Along or something like that. So the way we kind of plan trips, we don't rush to go see the newest and greatest. I mean, if we get an opportunity to do it, great.
Hey, Danny, welcome.
But at this point, it's a completely different ballgame than what it used to be when it was just me and my wife primarily.
Here's the interesting thing about this particular whole thing. In more recent times...
Take that question down, Chuck. I want to see everybody.
Oh, yeah, sorry.
I don't have my glasses on.
In more recent times, we've heard about these things through things like D23 or Destination D or something like that, and there's been discussion and all this kind of stuff. This one was just, boom, here it is. We're making major changes to a classic, quintessential... I mean, Carousel of Progress has the same weight of, it's a small world. It's a very classic attraction, and boom, we're doing it next month. So
look over here, because we have nothing new to report on Villains Land. Like,
well, I do have to this point, on I'm going to play the devil's advocate for just a minute here. That on the other side, you go back a year or two, we were going, well, what's Disney going to do to respond to Epic? What's Disney going to do? And this, I think, is part of that response to Epic. Instead of one great big thing, which we all know is Villains Land, and it's still in development. Supposedly.
Well, I'm curious.
They're going to do a bunch of little things.
So to that point, and Chuck, go into detail a little bit on your thoughts on this too.
All right.
I want to ask the people watching, like, has the influx of
Speaking of blasphemy, Tom says Carousel like Small World. Uh-oh. Sorry, Tom.
But has the amount of change coming to Disney World taken away your priority to get there? Because there's so much, like, no, but Matt, like, you want to go whenever you can. Like, you guys make a regular trip. That's different. Tegan and I used to, when something new came out, we wanted to go down and experience that.
Right, okay. Be the first to see it.
Changed due to the fact that there's 67 new things being announced this week. Like, does that change the way you plan trips right now? And I'm curious to what the fans feel.
Yeah.
But Chuck, explain your thoughts on it.
Yeah, so the thought is, and so we talked about it, and this is not a new topic for us here on Mousecast. We've said 2025, 2026, frankly, 2027 is the years. You remember the years of a million dreams? Well, this is the years of construction. At Walt Disney World, there are construction walls everywhere. just about every single park. Hey, Caleb, welcome. Glad to have you with us. So, because of that, I think that on one hand, it's showing, hey, there's a lot of growth and a lot of amazing things coming. But in the meantime, on this side, we've got a lot of things that you're having to either deal without or get around. Tom, by the way, says 100% Hawk, all the change at once diminishes the experience. I think this is where I'm getting at. Not to mention with all the closures, are you getting your money's worth? So yeah, Tom is reading my mind on this because that's exactly where I'm going.
Up. You know,
yeah, prices are going up.
Continued to climb during this construction zone. And Danny, you're more like Matt in the sense that you and Fran, you know, like you guys are planning your trips based on when you can come. Like you're Disney fans through and through. You're going to come to Disney when you get the ability to. And I think that holds true for a lot of people. I think the people that are trying to make special trips down for new things are lowering that priority a little bit because there's so much new stuff coming. And Danny, by the way, congratulations on, I think it was 34 years of marriage this past week.
Oh, yeah, congratulations, Danny.
Congratulations and happy anniversary. You are an idol in my book. I'm going to be getting to 1 year this July, and I'm extremely excited. And I feel honored that Jen has stayed with me that long.
We're frankly astounded that Jen has stayed with you for 1 year.
You and a lot of people.
A lot to pull on that one. I mean,
but yeah, go ahead, Megan.
So I think, you know, to Matt's point about the kids, I also wonder if the construction, you don't want to take kids, like if you're planning that once in a lifetime, you can only afford to take your family. And the idea that of there being construction walls up everywhere, I think is a huge deterrent. But on the flip side, I think for us, and now granted, I'm also in that bucket of like, we go whenever we can, right? But if I was planning my family's trip, the new stuff is intriguing. Maybe if there was one big thing that we were really excited about, like a Star Wars or something like that, we'd be gearing up for a specific thing. On the other hand, I think it's more of like, okay, I want to take my kids. My daughter loves Frozen, but the Frozen sing-along is going to be closed for refurbishment for whatever reason. We're not going during that time. I'm still looking at refurbishment time also on the rides that are already existing, because as a parent, I know my kid's really going to love XYZ. Like right now, both my kids are into Slinky. If Slinky was going to be closed during our dates in August, we'd move our trip because I'm not going to have crying kids on. Like that's
okay.
That's what they talk about daily. They talk about riding Slinky Dog.
So let's ask it this way, because this I'm also curious about too. And same thing for the guests watching right now. If you were going to plan a trip based on an upcoming attraction that has been announced, what is the thing that's going to draw you to specially plan a trip to Disney to try to be there as soon as it opens? So Chuck, what would yours be?
All right.
If you tell me Carousel of Progress,
that's it. Carousel of Progress.
The only person that can say that is Tom.
Really.
You can say that. You cannot.
Part of me is going, okay, well, some of it's already in development. I mean, for me, what's that one that's either happening or might ever happen that would get me down there immediately? It's Villain's Land. Yeah, it really is, because that is.
I think that's true for a lot.
In my opinion, that Villain's Land, assuming it's going to be done the way that we all are hoping and expecting it to be done, could be the single biggest change or addition to Walt Disney World since Animal Kingdom in like 1998. I mean, it's that quintessential. It's that big because the fans have been frankly asking for it for that long. Now, could they decide to change and make it a fifth gate? No, I think we're past that point, sadly. I do still think that there's a fifth gate. Now, if there's a fifth gate that comes, that might change things, but
I still think that creates a huge bottleneck for Magic Kingdom attendance. And
I do. I get worried because
I think that has to get addressed however they decide to do it, but you're either going to have to put a second entrance.
That's where I was getting ready to go. I think you have to do a second entrance into the Magic Kingdom.
Yeah, I agree.
And it's come in the Main Street way or come in the Villains Land way or something like that, and have.
I
don't know how they could pull it off, but
you know how they pull it off? Good versus evil. You have like the beautiful castle right in the front, and you do the entrance right down a freaking alley and moat right to Maleficent's castle. And those are the two ways. And you go to the good or the bad. But
would you do? All right, let's dive on this for a minute. Would you do like a whole parking lot area, or would you just do? You still keep the main parking lot area and the TTC and all that, and from the main entrance and the turnstiles, you got to go around.
I don't think they can. Well, see, first off, you would keep the existing TTC.
Yeah, you have to.
But then on the backside, almost back where the cast members park and all that parking is back there, I think you expand a lot back there and you create a second gate where people can enter. Now, you can make the decision if you wanted to shift the monorail to loop out to that or not. That's another huge construction project that would be years and years and years and all kinds of pressure. However, I think the easiest way to do it was, they could put a Skyliner there. But in all honesty, I think just a parking lot with an ability to tram up to the front of the entrance and have a different entrance point. You go through security. I know Walt's original vision for Magic Kingdom was to never kind of be close enough so that you really felt separated. But with the theming that they're capable of doing now, and the way, Epic Universe built walls, and you do not feel the other lands when you are in Epic. The only one you do is Burke, and you see a little bit of Stardust Racers.
Right. And so Danny, by the way, says the only trip we planned based on specific thing was to be in the Magic Kingdom on the 50th anniversary. I did that too, and it was great. Chris says, I've done this once and only once, and it wasn't for an attraction. It was the 50th anniversary. Same thing. And then Mark Jones has joined us. Welcome, Mark. He says, talking about separate entrances, I think you have to divide it up better. Maybe a train like a Hogwarts riding experience. That could be interesting. That way you're splitting up your traffic, because when Villains Land does come, the Magic Kingdom is going to be huge. Now, here's another way that you can also do this, and this is a huge revenue stream. And what do you guys think about this? Your entrance to Villains Land is another hotel. You put a resort at the entrance of Villains Land. Like Hotel Miracosta at Tokyo Disney Sea.
So I don't think you can do that the way Magic Kingdom's structured currently. And I think it would be problematic for, guests at that hotel would hate that. Like it does become an issue. Like, I don't want to walk down into my lobby when I'm staying at a nice place and have 10,000 people walking through the lobby to come in.
You shut it down like Helios is over at Universal, and you got to have a key card, and you can't just, you jack up.
Yeah, that's what Hotel Miracosta does at Tokyo Disney Sea.
Parking, and you make the card.
Except, Megan, that makes no sense if the whole point is to open up the congestion. Like, if you're going to limit it to a hotel-only entrance, that doesn't even make sense.
No. I'm not saying that. So Tokyo Disney Sea, okay, and that's the entrance to the whole park. Hotel Miracosta is over top of the entrance. So you still go through under the bridge and everything like that. But then hotel guests have, it's an exclusive kind of entrance for the hotel. Very similar to California Adventure. You have that kind of thing. So no, it wouldn't be the only one.
But Chuck, here's the thing. Do you really need another hotel? They just built Lakeshore Lodge. We need another hotel by Magic Kingdom?
I just don't want it out there. It's open mic night. Come on.
Yeah, no. I don't personally. I don't think that.
Tom says a hotel entrance at Villains Land with a statue of Josh Tomorrow. Ooh.
No, if it was Villains Land, you'd put up a statue of Bob Chapek.
Bob Chapek, yeah.
Let's be totally honest here. But
reality, Chris, by the way, says the only attraction I've ever attempted to try out when it first opened again during 5th anniversary was Ratatouille, but he unfortunately had issues with the queue. So.
And that's the other thing with going down to open something at Disney or at Universal for that matter, is all the right. I mean, we saw it just last year at Epic, the previews, and people getting into the park and then things being shut down. And, that's always the risk too. Do you want to spend all of that money for a Disney World vacation to get there and this brand new ride continues to shut down? Or like, Rise continues to break down or be closed for large parts of every day.
There's several examples.
We're a society of people that want to do it first. They want to be able to do that. There's a huge portion of society that wants to be able to do that. However, I agree with you, Megan, and that was kind of my point in starting this. Was I have no problem waiting now. I'll wait for the buzz to die down. I have done everything I've wanted to do at Disney. There is no ride at Disney that makes me go, oh my gosh, I have to do that. The only ride that's done that in the last year and 2 years was Stardust Racers for me. I really wanted to ride that roller coaster because I'm a roller coaster guy. So I wanted to get in there and do that. But, we waited for Tiana's and then we finally got on it and it broke down. We have not been back on it. I have never fully
I had that same issue during a pass holder preview.
I haven't fully ridden Tiana's. And I loved Splash Mountain. It was my favorite ride. Tiana's, send it.
So Tom says, I would rather go when I know a ride is closing. If Carousel of Progress were to close, I'd be there. I wish I could have been there on the last day of Muppet 3D or Confrontation. And I think this gets back to my surprise about Carousel of Progress is that this was very much an out of the blue thing. It was like, hey, guess what? We're completely changing this attraction. And we're doing it in a month from now, where there was no D23 announcement or anything, where for all of these things, including what just came on the Disney Parks blog a couple of days ago was, H.U.M.A.N. Day. So we're talking about Monstropolis already and kind of the story of what Monstropolis will be, that our visit to Monstropolis is going to be part of H.U.M.A.N. Day in Monstropolis. And so, we're talking all about, all the new things. In fact, Disney came up with this, Monstropolis Horn newspaper article and everything like that with the day that it's...
by AI.
Yeah, I'm sure it was probably created by AI. In fact, it says H.U.M.A.N. Day means humans understand monsters are nice, or H.U.M.A.N. Day initiative. So, kind of a fun bit to it. We did get a little bit of detail as well. Not a lot, but we did get a little bit of detail that, we're talking about, the HR department. But this is the whole point of why we're able to go to Monstropolis. And it is, while never been officially announced, I don't think, now we do have it that it is indeed Harryhausen's. We kind of all knew that it was coming. I think this is now official confirmation that the restaurant will be Harryhausen's. One can only assume that it will be Asian themed, very similar to what was in the movies itself. And the Glob, not Globe, but Glob Theater. So it'll be interesting to see. So that sounds like we know we have at least 2 attractions. We already know about the hanging door coaster that's been announced with that very revolutionary and wild load-unload system where it drops down, picks you up, takes you back up, and off you go. And now the Glob Theater. We don't know what that's going to be about yet. One could wonder, are they listening to Mousecast? And are they moving the Monsters Laugh Floor comedy show into the Glob Theater? Are they listening to what Mousecast said? So, Danny, by the way, says, we laughed when the Frozen ride first opened at Epcot and we saw a 300-minute wait sign. That doesn't surprise me one bit. And then Chris says, I tried to go on Splash in 2022 because it was closing, because only I got to experience it one time. But he was super bummed when he said it broke down. So what do you guys think about the some of the announcements about Monstropolis? Because, again, we're back to here's what's happening with more construction walls and things like that.
Same answer I had for Carousel of Progress. I'll wait and see. Sounds great. We'll see. I think that Disney has lost the ability to hype me with pre-game announcements now, due to the fact that it's super exciting, and then you just feel let down and frustrated that it doesn't match the timeline or it doesn't come out. Now, the animation courtyard they just did in Hollywood Studios, that was actually a pleasant surprise because I couldn't believe how fast that was done.
It was done quick.
And they did a great job. And I'll be the first to eat crow when I say
we're going to make sure we get pictures of that too.
Yeah, but I mean, I just think.
Tom says, Hawk, you will wait and not go see Carousel of Progress. He just knows you.
I will probably wait until it's a mandatory ride that I promised Tom, and I'll make sure I am super exhausted, sweaty, and tired so I can sleep the entire time. But reality is these rides, and to your point, it's funny because everybody rushes when they open, but more people rode the Liberty Bell in the last week than I think had ridden it in the last decade.
Yep.
Like every boat was full for a couple of weeks. And you just didn't see that happen. And, Splash Mountain had that. And going out to Tom Sawyer's Island had that. And Muppet 3D was ridiculous. It was crazy how it was the last couple of weeks.
Chris says that Tom and myself better make sure that Chris, he is there when we go on Carousel of Progress with you guys in Hawk. We'll make it a date. We will all kidnap and frog march Hawk onto it, so he can't do it. So, but to that point, we talk a lot about this is that nostalgia factor. You hear all the time, and it was something that we talked about in previous shows about bringing back Horizons. You hear all the time, bring back Horizons. Folks, there's a reason Horizons closed, because people didn't ride it. And then, it closes, and all of a sudden it develops this following. But the reason it closed is because it didn't get the patronage. It didn't have people there.
So Chuck, here's the question. Would you rather go to experience a new attraction and make a special trip? Or would you rather make a special trip to experience a nostalgic attraction that's going away that you can never ride again? Which one would you lean to? And I asked that.
Well, are we talking like really real, like they bring back are you talking about, okay, here's an attraction forever, for instance, closing forever?
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
Like, would you rather, so which would you make the
I actually probably would still go for the new attraction, because the old one, I have done it. It's sad to see it go. When we have these attractions that close, it's sad to see them depart, but at the same time, I understand why. I mean, I was very sad to see Splash Mountain. Essentially, it's an all-new attraction in its essence. I was very sad to see it go. I understand why. We talked about that at length from a relevance standpoint and everything like that, of why they wanted to really try and tie into the Princess and the Frog and all of that. Chris, by the way, says, seeing Liberty Bell and Tom Sawyer go put a very bad taste in my mouth. I can understand why they did away with it, but to me, it's getting rid of part of Walt's original vision. And this gets to kind of that whole deal, and this was another piece of why I put that blasphemy in the Carousel of Progress poll, because we always have to remember Walt was the one who said Disneyland, and by extension meaning all the Disney parks, will never be complete. He was always looking to change and update the parks, and so
does Tom have a side bet with you tonight on how many times you can squeeze in Carousel of Progress?
Yeah, we do. Tom and I are quietly doing that. Tom, I'm up to 46. What's our quota tonight? So, but it's that. I think it's that mentality, and there's a danger on both sides of that mentality. The danger on one side is, well, this is Walt's original vision. Well, by doing that, you're now taking Walt Disney World or any of the parks, Disneyland, doesn't really matter, and don't hit the mic, and you're casting them in stone, and they can't change. Well, that's not going to last. I mean, on the other side, though, if you're constantly changing, then you lose that element of stability and traditionalism and all of that folks, hey, I know what I'm getting into when I go there, because I know what Carousel of Progress, number 48th mention, is about. I know what Small World's about. I know what Space Mountain's about. I know all of that. There's a happy medium.
Disney has to walk a fine line between nostalgia and new. And I think they've always had to do that, because in reality, part of the nostalgia of what Walt originally created is the draw, right? Like there is an element of that's the draw. So Matt and Megan, starting with Megan, if you had to choose between going back to see a ride for the last time or going to something new? Which way are you leaning for a special trip?
So I lean towards going to do attraction before it closes because I'm not ever going to, because I'm in Hawk's boat with like I don't need to do anything when it first opens. I'll get there. But I also think that comes from the situation of like I know I'm going back within a reasonable time frame. Again, if I'm like, okay, I'm planning my family trip, we can afford to go once every 5, 10 years, however many that is. And I know that ride A is going to close, but ride B is getting ready to open like 6 months after that. And I don't know when I'm going to get to go back. Maybe that changes it. It becomes, I want to see the new and fresh thing. But,
Like, given what you said earlier about your kids and their attachment to Slinky, if Slinky announced they were closing, you would try to take the kids and get one more memory, right?
Yes. 100%.
Danny agrees. He says nostalgia over new for me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And like I think some of those memories, like we have that connection. Like I have pictures of me and my grandmother riding Dumbo. And like, I've asked my parents as they've aged to come to Disney with us because we went as a family in 1986. And my parents are like, you are not getting us in Disney. We are not going back to that place. Like they have no interest in coming back down. And I tried to get a trip done a couple of years ago where they came and visited. And just to be able to do a couple of those nostalgic things we did and do them again as an adult with their granddaughter. And they had no interest. And like, listen, I love my parents and they have every right to do what they'd like. We wound up going to Atlantis with them because they wanted to do a vacation together. I loved Atlantis. We had a blast there. So I don't have any regrets about it. But that I'm very nostalgic. So when I have that emotional connection or that mental connection to something, and I think when you're a parent, when your kids have that connection, it becomes even more important for us to try to make sure they get that last opportunity if we know it's going away, right? So,
sorry, Hawk, go ahead.
No, go ahead. Go ahead.
I was just going to say, I think the nostalgia piece and also just that comfort piece for those of us who have that attachment to Disney specifically, or whether it's to Universal, whatever that is. Sometimes I'll be writing something that I've written 100 times, Pirates, Haunted Mansion, Small World, and it'll hit me that the dog has been wagging his tail in front of those prisoners since I was a kid. And nothing like there, it's comforting to me knowing that some things didn't change. Yes, the parks have to continue to evolve, but there is something about riding an attraction, and Pirates has been updated, right? Wish they'd take it back to pre-Pirates of the Caribbean movie days, but whatever. There's certain things that haven't changed in the park, and it's the reason that Disney and Universal are so successful is that they keep some of those nostalgic things, coming back. They don't get rid of everything. They didn't just say, okay, let's dump all the rides at Universal Studios and replace them. They could have knocked that off the map and just built Epic on top of it, right? For, to do all new. But for those of us who formed that attachment, like that's what brings us back to introduce our kids and start the whole thing over again. And who was it that Mark Jones said, I have a hard time dealing with the changes and things, but my kids have different memories and traditions than I do. And we start those as a family. But then those become the things that become comforting for our kids when they grow up and, cycle of Disney.
And that was my point with why we kind of go out of our way to make sure that they get that one last thing or that one last, especially if they're younger, and they don't have the opportunity to say, I don't have the money to go down when I'm 10 and make the decision that I want to go ride that ride one more time. It's up to us if we can get them there again. Matt, you have kind of a puzzled look on your face, like you're in a little bit of a disagreement with this. So I'm curious to your take on how this would work for you and your family.
It's not really a disagreement. I just don't know which way I would go with this. Okay. For me personally, anything that I ride, I've written, it's been the same old at this point. So I'm not rushing down for either something new because I probably won't ride it. My kids might ride it, might not. I mean, my wife is the only person that really loves rides, and we just kind of stick to if we can get down there, great. If not, we're not rushing down there. Whether something's closing or opening, we get there when we get there, like I mentioned before.
Okay.
I mean, we did make a special trip for it was my wife's birthday, and B, I think it was around the time that Rock and Roller Coaster was going to be changed over. So, like, we did kind of make a special trip for that. It was kind of like a twofer. But essentially, like, if something's going to change, like, there's so many rides I feel like should be changed or rethemed or something like that at this point. Like, I don't know. We don't, like, there's, like, no real rush for either way because.
So what about shows or parades or certain events would have like if they announced the Halloween party is going to change and it's never going to be, they're getting rid of BTU or they're going to change the holiday party. Would something like that be enough to draw you down to want to do it one last time?
No, because we've done it with the kids. My wife and I have done it a few times. So, I mean, this year we're going to go with my parents. They've never been. But, I mean, at this point, this is kind of like.
I'm gonna make my parents watch this video.
It was actually my parents that suggested going. This was their idea.
Man.
So, and at this point, I mean, if you really wanted to go see what the ride was like, hop on YouTube. It's everywhere.
Hey, welcome,
at this point in social media, I mean, to get to actually experience it is different. But if you never get down there, you can be like, oh, here's the ride. Oh, yeah, I probably would have enjoyed this ride. This is what it was about. Like, the age of social media now, it kind of changes everything as well. I think Megan had mentioned that point earlier that I was going to make is, rushing down to see a new attraction. It's all over social media now with all these previews and stuff like that. So I think that also, like, deters people from, like, hey, I have to go and be one of the first to go see this attraction, do this attraction, see this show, whatever it is. Or you can't escape it on social media. It's on Facebook, TikTok, wherever you turn around. It's being thrown at your face. So you're going to catch glimpses here and there of everything. So by the time you actually get to experience it, you're just like, I've seen this. Okay, like.
It's funny when you live here how that dynamic changes too, because having been in the Northeast for so long and having such a distance to get down here and having to plan a whole trip, I mean, I was only a few miles from you, Matt.
Yep.
So having to alter how you view it, but it's so funny to see how locals do rush in to be there on night one or day one, and then also how many people actually do, and some of them are podcasters and vloggers and, people like us that are, trying to do something and it's more for fun. Like, I'd love to make $1 million with this podcast, but listen, we ain't that talented. We're just four people.
We do this for fun, folks.
Yeah. We're just, if you think we're getting a paycheck, you're smoking a big woo-hoo-hoo. We'll pass you on to the free drug testing. So the reality is there's a lot of people that do things like this because they love it and they love to talk about the parks and they love to, experience things with friends and family and other like-minded people that love Disney or do things. And it's such a cult following for Disney adults as well as Disney families. But it amazes me how many people travel down to ride Buzz Lightyear for the revamp. And like they spend $3,000, $4,000, $5,000 to come down and experience a ride. And that's essentially what their whole trip was to come do this new ride. And I mean, look, we caught Velocicoaster at Universal when they were doing an open soft preview. They didn't announce it, soft open, over Memorial Day weekend before they opened in June that year. And we just happened to be there. And we rode it 28 times that weekend. We ran around and rode that thing over and over and over and over and over and over again. We rope dropped it every morning and did 7 or 8 times before people would realize it was even open, that you could go ride it. And because they didn't announce it. And obviously word spreads through the park. But like, I miss those days of that kind of soft pop where you can stumble into something that they're doing at a park. And Disney used to do that too. They still occasionally, when characters are doing training, they used to do it back over by the brick by the Americas. Now they've moved it. Now they're doing it down between England and Canada. And you catch characters out there in that walkway. The Blueberries will actually walk out and ask you and your family if you want to go meet such and such a character and pull you back and let them get trained. It's there's still a lot of magic that goes on in these parks, but social media, TikTokers, all this stuff have changed the way magic happens and limited cast to what they're allowed to do because everybody wound up putting their hand out over the last couple of years. And instead of appreciating the joy of a magical moment that they do still create for people all the time, they expected a magical moment. And it took away that feeling of magic in Disney in so many places. And that's sad. Because
it's that entitlement factor, and it's sadly it's not just at Walt Disney World. It's at it's anywhere. It's not even just a theme park thing now. It's a societal thing, and one of these days, hopefully, that will
Universal
get yanked back.
And I will say, when Tegan and I went to Universal for her graduation a couple weeks ago, the team members there were unbelievably appreciative, thankful, provided magic. We got re-rides multiple times. We had people give us express passes for the rides just for the thank you cards that we give out. And at Disney, and I'm not saying that we do it to look for anything, because we don't. We have no expectation.
Right.
We gave a lot of those fast passes to other people after we got them. So we like to share the magic ourselves whenever possible. But Disney does not do those things very often anymore. Like the last time we got a ride at Disney was ages ago, and we give those thank you cards out all the time. They've been told they can't do as much now.
And that's why I was going to go with it. It's because you did that. Now somebody's going to, well, you didn't give that to me, and they didn't do that to me. And so you have the moaners and groaners. This is where I come back to that entitlement thing. The moaners and groaners who, unfortunately, and there are very few. Let's be really honest here. If you looked at the percentage of Disney park guests and the percentage that are the moaners and groaners, we're talking 5%. But the problem is they're a very, very vocal and annoying 5% that create problems for a lot of other people. And so because of that, unfortunately, the cast members can't do that. And I hope that Universal can continue it. I fear that there will come a day when they have to scale back too.
Well, see, do you know what I also think that is, Chuck, to be totally honest, is there's no annual pass entry at Epic. So you have to pay full price to go to Epic, no matter who you are right now. Mm-hmm. So I think it's easier for those team members to say, hey, thank you. It may be,
right.
It may not be. And to be honest, those are some of the team members that are probably getting the most heat, because everyone does have to pay full price. So getting a
the expectations are very high over there with a brand new park.
Absolutely.
I mean, we bought the express passes for the day Tegan and I went, and I didn't know. This is my own ignorance. I thought it was the same as like the Unlimited Express. When you bought Express, you could just go Express all day. Nope. It was $550 to ride each of the 11 attractions one time.
Yeah.
In addition to the $170 I paid to get each of us in the door. So we spent $1,000 to ride 11 rides, three of which we didn't get on. So we rode 8 rides that day.
And that's just entry. And then you bought food because you were there the whole day.
Oh, yeah.
Yep.
100%. And I mean, we went to Pizza Moon. We got macaroni cones. We went to Dark Universe. We got the butterbeer crepe in Harry Potter, which was delicious, by the way.
Good stuff.
You spend a lot of money, and I think, to what we've been talking about tonight, there is expectation, and all these new attractions are amazing that they're planning on doing. But do they meet the expectation that we wind up setting in our heads after we've been wowed and blown away so many times by Disney? We assume that's going to be the result. We assume that's going to be the result from Universal. And when it's not, it's like we're disappointed or we
Yeah,
feel.
and I don't even know that it's when it's not. I don't think it ever can be. I go back to this is a Star Wars thing where, when episode 1 came out, that the expectation, the anticipation, the hype was so great that a movie made by God would not have met it. I mean, it just couldn't. And I think we're approaching that same kind of concept here where the expectation that we have is getting to the point where can Disney or anybody ever meet that? Because
I don't know, Chuck, because
we're placing them on such a pedestal.
I'm going to disagree with you there because I think Epic nailed it with their theming and all the stuff they did. Like their ride,
they did, but we're hearing now though about there's a little bit of tarnish on there. You hear people now moaning and groaning because, oh well, it's not quite.
Well, that's because its newness has worn off. I don't think it's from a lack of hitting the mark with Epic, because I think there's logistical aspects of Epic that they wish they would have done differently. Like right now, they're talking about opening Celestial Park to the public. Why? There's one restaurant and a couple of stands, but the Atlantic, their centerpiece restaurant, isn't doing the volume that they wanted it to do. People aren't dining there, and you have to pay $170 to get in the door. So people don't want to do the real fine dining, sit down, long experience because they want to experience everything else during the day. So they're not getting the business they want. So they're talking about opening it to the public. But then what do you do with Stardust Racers and the Carousel, which are not in portals? Because you could do facial recognition for the portals that you had to be ticketed and you walk through, but that also slows things down. It causes backlogs. Like, how do you go about doing that? Because you'd have to close off the secondary gates, go into the portals, and you'd have to make it one way in and out to make sure ticketed people are coming in through the right spot. It creates a whole logistical nightmare. So I think there's aspects that they wish they designed differently, much like Toy Story and No Shade. Much like even Galaxy's Edge, there's been talks that they wish they had designed some things differently. We've talked about it on here.
Plenty of times.
That they should have included or moved Star Tours or found a way to connect it to Galaxy's Edge. That should have been all.
But to that point, though, there are, and Megan, jump in here too, but they're like to that point of Star Tours and moving Star Tours to Galaxy's Edge, just not practical. While there may be an expectation, I thought, oh, that'd be nice. In fact, we even talked about it during our Matt's Musings reshuffle of Hollywood Studios. But in a practical sense, are they going to really do that? No, it's just not practical. It's not a practical use of what would be a lot of money. Megan?
Well, I was going to say, going back to like the expectation game, just for Universal and Disney in general, Nick made the comment that the nickel and diming that Disney does these days is nuts. Universal's in there too. Everybody's in there. Everybody's charging for stuff they didn't used to charge for, or they're charging more for something they didn't. And that also ranges the expectation, because when you pay $1,000 to go into one park for one day, your expectations, I better be getting my money's worth, right? And so, when Fast Passes were not free anymore, when they rolled out Genie paid Fast Passes and then Genie Plus and then Lightning Lanes, the constant changes also frustrate people. And so it makes them feel like they're not getting their money's worth because it's confusing or changed from the last time they were there. And so it's the dollars and cents that we're spending on things that they used to just give. It's the rising prices. It's the confusion of how do I use this app? And this one, Disneyland's different from Disney World. Oh, it still makes me crazy. And park reservations and no park reservations. And like, it's all these things that play into this perception of we're not getting what we paid for.
Yeah,
Matt,
Nick brings up a great paper Fast Passes, Magical Express, all of that. Yep.
Matt, I saw your face.
Yeah, Matt, you've got something to add to this.
This is like thinking? Megan's got me thinking. I'm just like, well, you talk about Nick had mentioned nickel and diming that Disney does, and I'm sure Universal does as well. But this technology that we have to use now to like make Fast Passes, Lightning Lanes, all this kind of stuff, it comes at a cost that you end up paying for. So, like, imagine if they just went back to the paper Fast. There's something simple, getting people off of their phones and away from reality. Like, we talk about like nostalgia versus new. to me, nostalgia is that, the paper fast passes, so you're not living on your phone. I got to make this lightning lane. I'm going to pay for this and stuff like that. Like, the cost behind there adds up to those ticket prices and everything else. Yeah, see, exactly, Chuck, exactly. So to me, that's also like a big issue. This whole turn, like, I get the point of it, because the way people plan, and you see it everywhere, like, overplanning or something like that. So you want to be on your phone checking this, checking that. But it's like, to me, the loss of like the magic also came with like this turn to technology that I feel like wasn't really needed.
Nick's like, I always found Universal affordable because I was there 16 years ago.
16 years ago. It's changed a little bit. So
your point is spot on though, Matt. Like, and I think, we're at that window where we should be wrapping up. Yeah. And I think a good question to kind of seal things out tonight is, if each of you could bring one aspect of the theme park we fell in love with back to Disney from a cost perspective, one thing, and you make one change. It could be the food, parking prices, the paid fast passes, hotel rates, restaurant cost, whatever you be. What's the one economic change that you feel that the parks would actually benefit from if they shifted backwards?
So we're going to hold that, because what we're going to do, that sounds like an awesome topic for our first show in July. And we're going to hold it.
One thing.
Because I think this is something I actually know that the viewers should be able to comment on. And we put that as a question.
All 7 people walking, we're watching, have time to make a comment right now. Like, let's go one thing, and then we'll dive into this deeper in the future, because I do think it's a good topic. But like July 2032, that's correct.
Nick, that's right.
That's when that show will happen. So Megan, what's your one thing that you would change in the parks?
In the parks, because
so it doesn't have to be in the parks. One cost factor to a Walt Disney World or Universal or
so Tom says get rid of paid lightning lane, make it affordable to the common man again. Danny says that's a subject for a whole show. Thank you for backing me up here, Danny.
Danny, you're a traitor. You're supposed to have my back.
Thanks, Danny. I appreciate you.
Danny, give me one thing.
I'm going to go a slightly different route. I'm not going to say paid lightning lanes, fast as whatever you call them. I'm going to say just ticket prices, because you said to get people into the parks. It's ticket prices. You don't have to buy the lightning lanes. We're going in August. We're not buying lightning lanes. We don't have to. But you
Chris
do
agrees.
Have to
he says yes.
The park. So the park ticket price would be the thing, because that, on property, off property doesn't matter. Park ticket prices change. More people in the parks.
I have an off one that's I think it's gonna I think it'll get a lot of agreement, but I think it's.
And Danny is in the same boat. He says tickets.
Okay, Matt.
There's so many different routes to go. I mean, I kind of go with just bring back the free paper fast passes. First come, first serve. You get whatever you get for a time, and I feel like if you go that route, I don't know. It's doing it ahead of time. Like, it frees up the rest of your day to plan around that lightning lane. So I kind of get that aspect of it, but at the same time, like, if you've got to use it, or whatever the system is, like, we don't use it a whole lot because, like I said, none of us really do rides except for my wife. Unless it's something that, is just crazy and the kids might like, so we'll do something.
Okay.
But I don't know, whatever the rules are behind it, you have to burn however many. They keep on changing the rules. With this, I feel like it just gets more and more confusing the more they add to it. So just bring back the simple paper fast pass. You go over, you hit the button, you get your ticket, you come back. You got your hour or whatever it is. Like, just completely simplify it. I think it just makes the whole experience just better. And you drop the technology, and you can possibly get lower ticket prices because you don't have to worry about paying for all the stuff in the background. So that's what I would do.
Well, so my initial was tickets, obviously. But in the interest of just being different and doing something different.
You're different, again, Chuck, we know.
Yeah, we all know I'm different.
If you take mine, I'm going to be so pissed.
Mark knows about that. Danny knows that. Chris, they all know I'm a little bit different. So Nick, by the way, says that I feel like Lightning Lane was gone altogether. Wait times would be cut in half, and that's an interesting thought. That if nothing else,
Cast members will tell you that is factual.
Yeah, I wouldn't disagree with that. And
you can find online that if you got rid of them, all the lines it would.
And it's funny because I'm actually going to go in reverse of that. I'm saying I probably agree with that, but again, just in the interest of doing something different, it's trying to bring value to the on resort or on property guests, especially those in deluxe, because you are paying the premium price for deluxe. So by the way, Universal does this. They give a up to, Hawk, you said you paid close to what, $200 a person for
$330, I think, or $320.
Something like that.
It was like $600 for us to get.
Okay, for two people. So we'll call it. Let's tell you what. For the sake of argument, make it easy math. We'll say $250.
Yeah.
All right. Universal. If you stay at a premium resort, a premier resort at Universal, Universal gives those guests unlimited for the other two parks, not for Epic, but they give unlimited express passes automatically.
Mm-hmm.
If you have 4 people in a room, that's $1,000 every single day.
And by the way, if you stay at that hotel, you get 2 days of that because you get check-in day and check-out day.
Correct.
For that. So that value for a family
is tremendous. Disney doesn't do anything like that level.
For $500. So
there needs to be a greater emphasis on valuing the deluxe guest, maybe even to a lesser degree valuing the moderate guest or something like that, and valuing the value guest. If you are expending the money to stay on property, there needs to be more perks and more added value into that in a number of different ways. And I'm not talking about, you get a free 30 minutes in the morning. Something like that.
Here's the one that bothers me and always has, and this is what I would change. I would make children's pricing actually children's pricing. There is no need to go to Be Our Guest and charge me $65 for my plate and $59 for my 9-year-old who's going to eat, 3 chicken nuggets and a bowl of mac and cheese.
Yeah.
Like, cut me a break. You can charge them half price of the adult price and still make plenty of money. And
that's a great one. Hands over fist.
And I would make that age a lot older than 10. Like
that I agree too.
So for kids, here's the thing, Chuck, you're in a position where you do fairly well. You're able to afford to go to Disney multiple times a year. Jen and I are able to afford to go to Disney multiple times a year. But what do we enjoy as adults more than anything going to Disney? Seeing people experience it for the first time through the eyes of a child.
Absolutely.
There is nothing like seeing a young child walk down the street and see the castle for the first time, or see a princess approach them, or see, all the things that just make those amazing Disney memories. And what Walt actually did want for the American family to be able to go there. Okay. So
yeah, Danny says his kids were eating kids' meals until they were 12.
Yeah, you rebel. But, I think you saved $58 a trip on that. But the reality is, like, the kids need to be treated like kids by Disney. And if you made that more affordable, there are more people that would be on that cusp of making a trip.
Oh, I think so.
If you made the child more affordable to bring to Disney, like, that's going to be a difference that's going to swing families in. And honestly, for those of us old enough and financially stable enough to be able to afford to do the things, let's help the people that aren't, that get that magic, that will be there someday. You saved a shiny nickel. Nice. Was it wooden?
There you go. Megan?
I was going to say, for, just putting aside bringing new people to the parks, talk about how to get your current guests to spend more money. you need a third pricing tier for the dining plan. Why does my 11-year-old need to pay the same as an adult who's going to get alcohol when they don't qualify for $18 drinks? Like, you need a kid's pricing for the dining plan. You need an older kid's pricing, but still under 21. And then you got your 21 and over.
If two parents buy the top tier dining plan, they should have a kids eat free for that.
Well, this year we have that, but it's going away next year. But and you need to have a non-alcoholic option for adults also, because there's quite a few people.
Permanent thing, though, Megan. That's my point. That should be a permanent thing. Yeah. Like, if you're going to spend that top tier money to Chuck's point, like going to Universal and booking a top shelf hotel, if you stay at a deluxe and you're going to give them, almost $1,000 a night now for most of these hotels, if you're going to stay, you should be getting some kind of kickback for that. Oh, sure. Yeah.
And it doesn't really cost them all that much in the grand scheme of things. But this is also again, we're going to talk about this, not July 20, whatever it was they said, 2032. We're going to talk about this on the first show in July. So the first week in July. Next week, coming up here on Mousecast, we have Matt's Musings. Matt, no, don't do that to me, Hawk. Matt, we are musing what? What do we think we're doing? We're going to wrap up our rearrangement of the parks.
We're going to revamp Animal Kingdom next week.
We're revamping Animal Kingdom.
We're already doing that without a show.
They are redoing it without a show. That's right. Chris, by the way, says it's a date for this July. And then coming up after that, it's the final Tuesday of the month. It'll be game night. Wow, I'll come up with something evil and interesting for game night. And then, as promised, that first week in July, we're going to bring this topic right back up. So be thinking about it. We're going to post out on our Facebook page some of these questions so that you guys can start to share comments ahead of time. And then we want you to join us for a discussion about, bringing the value back to Walt Disney World. So we want to say a huge thank you to Matt, to Megan, to Hawk. A very, very, very happy birthday to Donald Duck, 92 years old today. Donald Fauntleroy Duck. So, folks, thank you so much for watching. Remember, we do this.
92. He's very upset with you, Chuck.
I did say 92. I said 92.
I know. He heard you say it. He wasn't to be reminded.
No, he wears his age with pride. He's fine. We do this every Tuesday night, live here on YouTube, live here on Facebook. Share out the fact that you have been enjoying Mousecast and encourage others to join us and be part of the conversation, because it's a lot of fun. Like tonight, when we had so many different people with us. We had Nick with us, Danny with us, Chris with us, and Mark Jones. What's that? Tom was with us. Carousel of Progress. Good, I got it over 50 years old. Over 50 references. There we go. So, Tom, that'll be the $2 that you owe me now. And several others that were with us here. Caleb with us tonight as well. So we want to say a huge thank you to all of you who keep joining us.
Donald Duck may be the only 92-year-old in America that can still be popular even though he doesn't wear pants.
And on that note, thank you. And on that note, thanks for watching Mousecast, the podcast where the mind meets the magic. And so until next time, and before Hawk gets us sued, we'll see you.
Thank you for listening to Mousecast. We appreciate the time you share with us. And tonight was a very fun show. And joining us is a must. This is where the mind meets the magic. We dive a little deeper every time. Theme parks, cruise ships, and travel. If you don't listen, maybe now it's time. Now it's